Imagine standing at the end of the year looking back at a year filled with achievements and growth and unforgettable moments. It sounds amazing, right? Well, today I'm going to show you how you can make 2025 or whatever year you happen to be watching this your best year yet. We're going to go over recapping your wins and struggles from the previous year, set some ambitious yearly and quarterly goals, and prioritize your company values, and that will lead you to success. First, we're going to talk about the basics of setting and accomplishing your goals. First, you want to make them SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Be specific as possible when you're setting your goals. Make sure you're not being vague or ambiguous. Make them measurable. You need to have a way to know that you have reached that goal. Again, be specific and make sure it's something that you know I can say, yes, I have arrived. Make them attainable. You want to set some big goals and you want to dream big, but don't make them so big that there's no way you could ever reach it. That will only lead to discouragement. Make sure they're relevant. Don't set goals that don't actually align with who you are and where you want your business to be, and make them time bound. Give yourself a time limit: weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly, so that you have a way to hold yourself accountable. You want to write it all down. Use something, and I'm going to show you a workbook that I use to write down your goals and you clarify your strengths and your intentions. We're going to break it down. You want to break your goals into small and manageable steps, and that helps to overcome your overwhelm. Hold yourself accountable by maintaining focus and discipline throughout the process. Figure out whatever that looks like for you, that you can keep yourself going strong and moving through the process. Make sure you reward yourself. We're going to talk about this on a quarterly basis. It will help reinforce the positive actions you've taken and you continue doing it. Also, make sure you develop systems and habits. Effective systems and habits make it easier for you to accomplish your goals on a regular basis. Set up a system, whatever it is. And if it doesn't work, change it. These are not set in stone, but a system doesn't work unless you use it. So this is a process that I go through every single year. I usually do it November, December, sometime going into the coming year. You can do it whenever, even if you're starting mid-year, it can all work for you. But the first thing we want to do is we need to look back. So you want to start by celebrating your wins. What did you accomplish in the last year? What goals did you reach? What big things and where did you get to? Did you hit a money milestone? Did you reach a number of clients that you wanted to have? Did you learn a new product or service or something that you can offer to your clients? What did you accomplish? You always also want to make sure that you have your company values and your mission and vision statements front and center while you're doing this process, because they are the filter that all of these goals should be made. Because if your goals don't align with these things, then you shouldn't have them as goals, or you need to reevaluate your company values and mission and vision statement. If you have not written a mission and vision statement or your company values, I have a free workbook that'll take you through that. The link to that should be in the description, and you can download that and it'll take you through the process. And there's a video and everything to kind of help you through that whole process. Once you have those written out, and if you needed to reevaluate them, great, have them front and center. But then ask yourself, did I actually live by these this year? Because if you didn't, you need to figure out why. Do you need to change your mission and vision because they just don't align with who you are? Or did you let yourself get distracted? And what do we need to do to make sure that we stay focused on what these goals that we have set for our business are? Next, we're going to talk about the importance of reflecting. I'm going to read this off. George Santayana said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." So we need to make sure that we're looking back at the past year and reflecting on it, seeing what went well and what didn't. So start with, did you have any goals for last year? Did you hit those goals? When you look back, what milestone would this year be? Or another way, what would your word for last year be? A lot of times we go into a year with, this is going to be my year and this is the word that this year is going to be. But we get to the end of the year and sometimes we didn't quite hit the mark. So in reality, what was your word for the year? What went really well this year? Again, what milestones did you reach? What, just in general, what went well? You ended up with a really great system. You found some key components and some key staff maybe that filled some holes in your business. And then what didn't go so well? Did you struggle finding some key components in your staff this year? Did you go through a couple different ones? Whatever those struggles were, just write them out. What do you need to hold on to moving forward? What processes, what boundaries, what things do you need to hold on to that make you feel successful, but also at peace? And what do you need to let go of? It didn't happen, it didn't work, let go of it. So, what needs to go? And if you could go back and redo the last year, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently? This isn't about regrets, but it's about seeing where things didn't succeed as well. And you can learn and say that I learned from it. And so I'm going to do it differently going forward because I learned I don't have to do things this way. Now we can get into goal planning. First, your big vision. This is your big yearly goal, your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal for the coming year. Make it big, but remember to make it SMART. All of those acronyms, they need to be part of everything that you're looking at and the filter. And you need to make sure they align with your company values and your mission and vision statement. So if they're SMART, they're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're relevant, and they're time bound. They're time bound because it's by the end of the year. The rest of it, be as specific as you can. Make sure it's attainable, but make it big. Dream big, shoot for the stars. Then what's 3 other goals that you want to set for the coming year? These are big goals, but not quite as big as your big, hairy, audacious goal, but they still fuel that big goal, but they are independent of that big goal. Write those out. Now we're going to break all of those goals into mini quarterly goals. So you need to think about this in steps. How are we going to break this down into smaller steps? Whatever your big, hairy, audacious goal is, if that is you're going to make X amount of money for the year, you're going to have so many clients for the year, whatever that is, break that down into 4 pieces. And I'm just going to throw out some random numbers. So if your goal is to make $100,000 this year, that means each quarter you need to be making about $25,000. That would be a reasonable goal. So put that in there. But then how are you going to reach that goal? If you're going to have your goal is to have X amount of clients by the end of the year, or if you're a photographer, I'm going to do this many photo shoots. Okay, I want to do 60 photo shoots. Well, we're going to divide that by 4. So I need to do 15 photo shoots every quarter. Okay, so in 3 months, you need to do 15 photo shoots. That's not a lot. When you break it down to smaller pieces, you're like, that's really not that bad. Break them down that way. And in your other goals, the smaller goals, if it's, I want to finish a coaching program, okay, have you researched the coaching program? Maybe you need to do that first. Is it a year-long coaching program? Well, break that down into however it's set up. If you're going to learn a new service, what does that look like? If you decide I'm going to offer some low ticket items for my customers and clients that can just be sold on autopilot that I'm not constantly having to work on. Okay, what does that look like? How do we break that down into some smaller pieces? So I want to have 4 different low ticket items going by the end of the year. Whatever that looks like, something that's like $100 a piece. Okay, and so you want to have, you want to be selling those on autopilot. You do those, break that down into how many each quarter do you need to do to get to that goal by the end of the year. Now, if it's reasonable to say I can have this done in the first 2 quarters, then go ahead and do that. It doesn't have to be drug out for the whole year. But your bigger goals, they may take until the 4th quarter before you reach it. And they need to be broken down. You may be still working on it in the 3rd quarter, and that's okay. Make sure you're breaking it down into specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Like I said, the time bound is the easy part because we're putting these into quarterly metrics. But again, be as specific as possible. Put an actual dollar figure on it. Make them measurable. You need to know when you've reached it. So being specific helps you make it measurable. You don't want to say, I just want to do more business. What does that look like? I want to have X amount of clients. I want to sell X amount of low ticket items. I want to do X amount of photo shoots, whatever that looks like. Some of your goals could even be really specific just to your business and aren't like what you would say is like a directly money driven thing. I want to revamp all my workflows by the end of the year because I know they are just a mess and I need to make sure they are more automated and working on autopilot for me so that I'm not having to get in there and manage all the nitty-gritty details. Okay, so how many workflows do you have? Let's just say you've got 4 different workflows. Okay, how complicated are they? Do you need to do just one a quarter? If that's what you need to do to make sure that you have peace and margin in your life, then set that goal, and that is okay. But you're going to say, quarter one, I'm going to do this workflow. Quarter two, I'm going to do this workflow. And all the pieces of that workflow, because you're going to be looking at your emails, any of your forms. Maybe you're going to do a big rebrand. And that might be one of your big goals. I want to do a rebrand. When do you want that rebrand launched? If you want to launch Q3, all right, so you've got 2 quarters, you've got 6 months that you're going to take to do this rebrand. What does that look like? By the end of first quarter, I'm going to have these things done as part of my rebrand. And by the end of quarter 2, I'll have the rest of these things done. So in quarter 3, we can launch. And you can even have some of it into quarter 3, the final details, into the third quarter, as long as you're launching by the end of the third quarter or whatever your goal has to be. So we've got our yearly and quarterly goals set. If you come back next time, we'll get things broken down into monthly and even weekly goals, plus some checkpoints and, of course, those rewards. Remember, goal planning is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. As you move through the year, go ahead and be flexible. Life happens, and sometimes we just have to adjust our goals. Stay committed, but be adaptable. If you want more tips like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss an update. And to help with your goal planning, I have created a goal planning workbook that I've been showing you, and you can download it. This workbook will guide you through the steps that we discussed today, plus the next video's info of the monthly and weekly goals, and to help you stay organized. If you click the link here, you can get your copy. It'll be in the description also. Stay motivated, and I'll see you next time.